Imagine if the final pages of the Bible were not just enigmatic symbols, but a secret calendar marking the end of human history. Many look at Revelation and see chaos, fear, confusion. But what if the truth were the opposite? Not chaos, but order. Not an unreachable mystery, but a divine script written before the foundation of the world. We live in a time where wars, pandemics, and crises multiply. What if all of this had already been foretold? What if your own life were already part of this timeline without you even realizing it? Revelation wasn't given to frighten, but to reveal. It doesn't hide the future. It draws it with clarity. Seals, trumpets, bowls, and in the end, the victory of the Lamb. Today, you're going to discover what the Bible really says about this secret line that runs through history. These are not human speculations, but eternal visions that reveal the direction of humanity. And the most astonishing part, these visions speak directly to our present. So I invite you, stay with me until the end of this video. What you're about to hear may forever change the way you see the future. If you love uncovering the scriptures and don't want to miss anything God is revealing, subscribe now to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss the next videos. Thank you so much for being here. Many who open the book of Revelation feel like they're facing a labyrinth, confusing images, beasts, trumpets, earthquakes. That's why so many give up within the first few pages, believing it's impossible to understand its prophecies. But there's a hidden secret between the lines. Revelation is not a jumble of random symbols, but a carefully drawn map. Those who perceive this realize that it's not an unsolvable puzzle, but a divine script that shows the end from the beginning. Behind every broken seal, every trumpet blast, and every bowl poured out, there is an invisible order, so precise it's like chapters of a play written by God Himself before the creation of the world. Picture the curtains of a grand theater slowly opening, revealing each act at just the right moment. Nothing happens before its time, nothing is shown out of sequence. What seems like confusion is actually a sacred symphony in which every instrument enters at the exact beat. Maybe you've asked yourself, why did God choose to speak through symbols? Why not write simply and directly? The answer lies in the very nature of the scriptures. Symbols act like a vault. They protect the message, hiding it from indifferent eyes and revealing it only to those who truly seek. It's like a letter from a father to his children, written in code so only they, and not the enemies, can understand. Revelation is not a maze meant to confuse, but an invitation to dive deep. And here lies a practical lesson. Just as Revelation has a structure, so does our life. How many times have you gone through unexpected loss, illness, or even a financial crisis and thought, this makes no sense? But years later, you realize that moment was an essential piece of your life's puzzle. The scriptures remind us that just as Revelation follows an invisible order, so does our journey. Nothing is in vain. This perspective also protects us from falling into common traps. How many have tried to mark dates for the end, creating rushed interpretations of prophecy? But those who understand that there is a divine structure behind the text know that Revelation was not written to satisfy curiosity, but to strengthen faith. It is not a secret calendar for men, but a letter of hope, showing that the author of history has never lost control. And if we're now able to see that there's a sacred order upholding Revelation, we're ready to take the next step, uncovering the first signs of this timeline, the 7 seals, which open the curtain of the end and reveal the preparation for divine judgment. A solemn silence hangs over the heavens. The Lamb takes the sealed book and begins to break the seals, one by one. It's as if the entire universe holds its breath, waiting for what will be revealed. John doesn't describe a distant tale, but the opening of a prophetic clock that has already begun ticking down the final countdown. Each broken seal is not just a scene of tragedy, but an inevitable preparation for the judgment to come. From the first seal comes the white horse, radiant, riding forth with power. But is this light true, or merely a deceptive glow? Many interpreters see it as the spread of ideologies, systems, or even religions that promise peace, but seek control. The second seal brings the red horse, and its passage strips peace from the earth. How often have we seen once brotherly peoples rise against one another, civil wars and divisions tearing nations apart? Isn't that exactly what echoes in today's headlines? The third seal makes way for the black horse, carrying scales and famine. Its presence exposes inequality. Bread measured like gold, entire families lacking the basics, while a few hoard vast fortunes. Who hasn't been outraged at waste in one place and cruel scarcity in another? The fourth seal reveals the pale horse, ghastly like death itself, and hell follows him. Pandemics, disasters, and violence give a face to this rider who still gallops among us. Then the fifth seal reveals the cry of the martyrs beneath the altar. How long, Lord? It's impossible not to think of those who throughout history gave their lives to keep the faith. People who chose to remain steadfast even when everything was taken from them. The sixth seal, in turn, shakes the heavens and the earth. The sun darkens, the moon turns blood red, stars fall like torches. John describes a scene where even creation groans, as if the very cosmos shares in the human drama. Are these signs merely distant visions, or are we already witnessing some of them now? Endless wars, global crises, silent persecution against faith. Don't they seem like echoes of these seals already resonating in our generation? The scriptures don't require forced interpretations. Just look around and see that what was written continues unfolding before our eyes. But let's not be mistaken. The seals are not the end, only the beginning. They open the stage, but the symphony has not yet reached its climax. They are like distant drums, preparing the ears for the thunderous sound of the coming trumpets, divine alarms that will awaken the whole earth. The silence in heaven is so deep it hurts the ears. Suddenly, it is shattered by a deafening sound, the metallic blast of trumpets, echoing like thunder that shakes the very bones. 7 angels raise their instruments, and with each blow, the whole earth trembles. It's not music, it's alarm. It's not melody, it's a divine call. Each note is a cry from heaven to awaken a sleeping humanity. The first trumpet hurls fire and hail mixed with blood upon the earth. Forests burn, fields turn to ash, and the green is lost to flames. The second strikes the sea, turning it to blood. Picture crimson waves swallowing ships, the stench of death spreading on the wind. The third brings a burning star, like a flaming torch, falling from the sky and poisoning rivers and springs. Water that once sustained life now becomes as bitter as wormwood. The fourth darkens the lights. Sun, moon, and stars vanish, plunging the world into darkness. The prophecies may seem distant, but look around. Don't the wildfires painting skies red resemble trumpets? The massive waves destroying coastal cities, rivers poisoned by pollution, air suffocated by smoke, days when the sun hides behind thick clouds. Aren't we already hearing echoes of these blasts, even if only in part? And the trumpets that follow do not ease the tension. The fifth releases spiritual forces from the abyss, swarms that torment without killing, spreading fear and despair. It's as if John foresaw multitudes trapped in anguish, anxiety, and depression, wounds unseen, yet devouring from within. The sixth trumpet unleashes armies charging with fury, reminding us that the battle is not merely against flesh and blood, but against the spiritual forces of evil. Yet there's a detail few notice. The trumpets, despite their terror, are not just signs of destruction, they are invitations. Summons. God could end everything at once, but instead allows these blasts to awaken, to shake, to stir. It's like a father shouting his child's name before they step into traffic. The trumpets are heaven's urgent voice asking, "How long will you ignore the call?" Their sound doesn't close the story, it heightens the suspense. Each blast is like the rumble of thunder before the storm. And if up to now the earth has groaned with catastrophes and signs, what comes next is even more intense, the pouring of the bowls, where judgment reaches its fullness. The silence before the bowls is dense, as if even the air is holding its breath. 7 angels lift their cups, and with each pouring the world is struck by waves of judgment. These are not drops, but torrents falling like liquid fire, spreading across the earth. What were once mere signs now become final blows, striking men, seas, rivers, skies, even the very foundations of creation. The first bowl is poured upon humanity, unleashing burning sores, wounds that scorch like live coals on the skin of those who bore the mark of the beast. The second turns the entire sea into blood, not a symbol, but a horrifying scene. Crimson oceans, lifeless creatures floating, the stench of death spreading through the air. The third poisons rivers and springs, and an angel proclaims, "You are just, O Lord, for they shed blood, and now they drink blood." Divine justice answers the cry of the martyrs. The fourth bowl intensifies the sun. It's not just heat, it's flames that scorch men alive, as if the sky itself had become an oven. And still, instead of repenting, many blaspheme against God. Don't we already see echoes of this hardness today, when tragedies strike families and entire peoples, and yet many choose to mock faith instead of seeking it? How often does pain, which could soften the heart, end up hardening it even more? The fifth bowl plunges the beast's kingdom into darkness. Imagine entire cities blacked out, streets swallowed by a darkness so thick it seems to suffocate. People groping, screams in the shadows, collective fear. The sixth dries up the Euphrates, preparing the way for the kings to march to the final war. This is not mere geopolitics, it's spirituality in conflict, as if the earth were the stage for an invisible battle already underway. Then comes the seventh bowl. Lightning tears through the sky, thunder explodes like heavenly bombardment, and an unprecedented earthquake shakes the planet. No city remains standing. Mountains vanish, islands disappear, and massive hailstones fall from the sky like spears hurled against humanity. It's the collapse of what once seemed eternal. And if one day the things we hold as stable, economies, governments, science, crumble before our eyes, where will we place our trust? And even in this scene of ruin, the hidden message remains: God has never lost control. Judgment is not whimsy. It is cleansing, not the end in itself, but preparation for a new beginning. Like a farmer who plows the soil before planting, the Lord purifies to restore. And that leads us to the final point of the timeline, the ultimate victory of the Lamb and the unveiling of a kingdom that will never pass away. Heaven opens in splendor. After thunder, darkness, and earthquakes comes the scene John had long awaited. The Lamb, once slain, now triumphant. It's as if all creation breathes a sigh of relief. Evil, which once seemed invincible, bows before the one who reigns. Revelation does not end in destruction, it ends in victory. It closes not in fear, but in hope. The beast, the false prophet, and the dragon are defeated forever. They are not just symbols, but living images of all that has corrupted the world: lies, violence, pride. And what happens when these powers are crushed? All of humanity is freed from centuries of oppression. Imagine hearing, as an eternal echo, the cry that resounds from the heavens: "It is finished." But this victory is not just cosmic, it is personal. John describes the new heaven and the new earth. No more tears, no more pain, no more death. Think about that. No more hospitals, no more cemeteries, no more farewells. Families reunited forever. every tear wiped away by God Himself. Can we even imagine such a world, or are we so used to pain that we've forgotten it can end? This future is the fulfillment of an ancient promise. Since Genesis, the prophecies have pointed to this moment when the tabernacle of God would be with men. There will be no temple, for the Lord Himself will be the temple. No sun, for the Lamb will be the light. No night, because fear will be no more. An eternal kingdom where darkness will never again find a place. And here is the call. On which side will you be when the Lamb reigns? Revelation is not an enigma for scholars, but an invitation for every heart. It is like an open door before us. We can cling to a world that is already crumbling, or we can walk toward the city that will never be destroyed. The future is already written, but the personal decision is still open. After seals, trumpets, and bowls, the timeline reaches its climax, the final victory. But John doesn't close with just glorious images. He leaves a question in the air, a question that echoes through the centuries. Are we ready to enter that coming kingdom? Revelation was not written to satisfy curiosity, but to prepare the heart. Every seal, every trumpet, every bowl, and every vision reminds us that the future is not adrift. It has already been charted. The great question is not when these things will happen, but how we will be when they do. Scripture reveals that evil will be defeated, the Lamb will triumph, and a new heaven and a new earth will be established. But what will you do with this knowledge? Will you treat it as just another Bible story, or will you allow it to transform your life, your choices, and your faith? How often do we ignore the signs around us? Wars, crises, catastrophes, personal pain, and go on as if nothing matters. Revelation calls us to awaken, to realize that every step in history is also a divine invitation. Perhaps the greatest danger is not judgment itself, but the indifference that lulls us to sleep as the future draws near. So I want to challenge you. What if you started today to align your life with this already written future? What if instead of fearing prophecy, you used it as a guide to live with more faith, hope, and purpose? Revelation is not just a book about the end. It is a letter about new beginnings. Now I want to hear from you. What impacted you the most in this video? Which part of the Revelation timeline spoke most to your heart? Leave your answer in the comments. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to receive upcoming videos, and leave a like so more people can discover these hidden truths. And may the peace of the Lamb, the one who has conquered and will conquer, be always with you.